Welcome to Modern History. The course 2012-2013 will cover the following things. In the preliminary year, we'll start off by having a look at the French Revolution, how the French people deposed their king and queen, cut off their heads and started the modern republic. We'll have a look at the forces of liberty, equality and fraternity that this unleashed on the world. Then, while the French people were shaking off their bonds, we'll have a look at how Africans were still coping with the horrendous slave trade. We'll look in particular at how the use of slaves in North America eventually led to the terrible Civil War fought in the United States in the mid-19th century. Even though the slaves gained their freedom, it was a century before a leader would emerge who was able to lead Afro-Americans in a successful fight for their civil rights. This, of course, was Martin Luther King Jr. He's one of the great personalities of modern history, an inspiring leader who is on a par with Nelson Mandela. Next, we'll examine the issue of French and American nuclear testing in the Pacific in the 1950s and 1960s, and what that meant for all of the people living in the Pacific and around its rim, including Australia and New Zealand. From the Pacific, we'll move to examine the lives of two extraordinary people, Aung San Suu Kyi and her struggle to bring democracy to Burma, and the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan struggle for independence. We'll finish the preliminary course with a look at the democracy movement in China and that famous event in Tiananmen Square when one brave individual stopped the tanks in their tracks. The Year 12 course in Term 4 will kick off with the core topic, World War I, a catastrophic event which engulfed Europe, the British Empire and the USA in the early 20th century. Following that, we'll move to our national study, which is Indonesia, our closest neighbour and home to 230 million people. It's the largest Muslim country in the world. It's on our doorstep and it's vital to your future. How much do you actually know about it, other than Bali as a holiday destination for Australian tourists? Possibly not much, but now's the right time to find out. The Asian century is upon us, and knowledge is power. The last two terms will be spent investigating one of the major conflicts of the later 20th century, the Cold War. We'll also have a look at Mikhail Gorbachev and the leadership he brought to bringing this conflict to an end, a conflict that destroyed many lives in the process. These studies will take us on a journey through communist Europe, the Cuban Missile Crisis, perestroika and the fall of the Berlin Wall. It will bring us up to the present and assist you to understand your world.